this is my journey to vet school. So when I was applying to university, I wasn't thinking about becoming a vet. I wanted to go to university to play water polo. Sport was basically my whole life at the time. So when I got an offer to go play Division I water polo in California, that was the best thing I could have imagined. I went to school in California and I changed my major quite a few times because I kept thinking I wanted to do different things. First was be a human emergency doctor, and then a physio, and then a chiropractor. I also looked into animal chiropractic work, but I ended up deciding on kinesiology with an emphasis in rehabilitation sciences because I knew that I wanted to work in healthcare. I just didn't really know where that fit into my life. I actually wanted to be a vet when I was a kid, like most other people. But at some point, I decided that probably wasn't realistic because I wasn't smart enough for it. So I went through university not really knowing what I wanted to do. And then COVID hit and I graduated. I drove all the way home from California to Canada in the middle of COVID. And I decided that I was going to get a job at a vet clinic because I wanted to see what it was like before I decided what to do with the rest of my life. I finally got my first job at a vet clinic 2 weeks after I had moved home. I had no idea what I was doing, but I learned really fast at this job. This job was basically sink or swim. The team that I worked with had very high expectations, and I was just very young and didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I worked there for about a year and I learned so much, but I eventually realized that general practice wasn't for me. So I decided to apply to the emergency hospital that was close to where I lived. I ended up getting the job, and on my first training shift, we had a patient come in with heat stroke, and unfortunately, his heart had stopped. So we started doing CPR. Unfortunately, the patient did not make it. But what I remember from that day is this is exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. But even then, I didn't really think that vet school was something I could do. My GPA wasn't amazing. I didn't have all the prerequisites that I needed. And I kind of just thought I was too old and it wasn't possible. But eventually, my partner was like, just go do it and see what happens. So I went back to school full time while also working full time. And eventually, it became time to apply. I didn't really want to apply because I was mostly worried about being rejected, but I ended up getting FOMO. So I started my application anyways. I spent 5 months writing my letter of intent. It was so hard. I have done so many edits on it. And I was also deciding what schools I wanted to apply to. I wasn't really interested in going to the US because of the cost. So I was looking at Canada. There's only one school I can go to, and then the UK and Australia. The UK was pretty similar to the US. The exchange rate is pretty brutal. So I was basically looking at Canada and Australia. I worked with quite a few vets that had gone to school in Australia. So that was something that also kind of solidified my decision to go there. So I decided to apply. And eventually I started getting my offer letters, and it was amazing. I was so excited. But I had gotten my offer letter in November and they expected me to start in January. And what I didn't account for was that I had a wife and a dog that I had to bring across the entire world. So I deferred for a year. During that year, my partner had started applying to medical school, and I had started getting things sorted to move my dog across the world because I wasn't going to leave him behind. My partner ended up getting into a few medical schools and eventually settled on the one close to the one I wanted to go to. Bless her. And unfortunately, my dog passed away, so he wasn't able to come with us. But I do know he would have loved the sun on his old man bones if he was here. So that all happened, and we eventually moved across the world to Australia. It was not something that I ever thought would happen. And if you had told me 5 years ago that I would be married with a wife on the other side of the world in vet school, I would have told you that you're full of shit. But yeah, that's my story to get into vet school. Yeah, it's never too late to apply or change your plans. I basically had no idea what I wanted to do and was just kind of flip flopping back and forth on things. And now I've ended up here.